I know it's April and it's already been mentioned a couple of times, like your semester is winding down. I know the pressure is mounting, the papers are due, you're studying for finals. I will never forget the level of panic in the last few weeks of my second semester Greek class with Dr. Martindale. Like I have never worked so hard and stressed so much. It was like the hardest class I ever took, with the exception of one other class, and that was a class I took in high school. It happened to be a gym class, a weights class. It was the only class I ever got kicked out of. I signed up for introduction to weights, not realizing it would be combined with advanced weights taught by the high school football coach. And this guy, like, he had one desire to coach football, and he had no tolerance for like freshman girls like me who had no business like being in his class. And so I showed up for weights my freshman year, and in the first week, he's just like, he was a drill sergeant, like a literal one, right? So he's just yelling at us like, run faster and harder, and we're running sprints in the gym. And I started getting dizzy. So I said, Coach Walker, I'm gonna faint. And apparently, like, that was an excuse a lot of freshman girls used when they didn't want to run sprints anymore. So he said, Benson, that was my last name, Benson, you're fine, keep running. Except a few seconds later, I fainted in the middle of gym class. It was a couple days later, Coach Walker has us running sprints. He's yelling, go faster, run harder. I'm like, Coach Walker, I'm going to faint. Except this time I thought because last time I said it, I actually did, he would believe me. Wouldn't you know? He said, Benson, you're fine, keep running. And a few seconds later, I was unconscious on the gym floor. A couple days later, Coach Walker is yelling at us. He's saying, run faster, run harder. And I'm like, he's not going to listen to me if I tell him. So the last thing that I heard before the world went black was my head echo off the floor like a bowling ball. It was terrible. And just a couple days later, I survived the sprints. I was getting stronger. But we were back in the weight room and we were doing box jumps, just box jump after box jump. And I started getting dizzy. I'm like, oh no, I know exactly what's happening. So I excused myself to the water fountain so I could faint privately. And I woke up in the arms of a football player with my Coach Walker over my face. And he said, Benson, get out of my class, see a doctor, and don't come back until you can stay conscious. And so, thankfully, it was an easy fix. I went to the doctor. I got on medication. It's like mostly fine, although I have like 100 more fainting stories. If you come back tomorrow, I'll share another one with you. But I saw a neurologist, and what they figured out was there's a lobe in the back of my brain that would close when I was doing strenuous exercises like sprints or box jumps. And the result was I did not have enough oxygen to sustain my level of exertion. My energy output was disproportionate to my oxygen intake. My body didn't have enough fuel, so I would faint. And I want to bring you this thought this morning is this: you cannot allow your level of exertion to outpace your level of input. You cannot put out more than you are taking in, or you will collapse. You can fake it on fumes for like a little while, but eventually you will give up, you'll give in. That's how it works in your body. You need food, you need rest, you need water. As I learned as a freshman, you need oxygen to stay up on 2 feet. That's how it works in relationships. If all you do is tax and you take, and there's no input, there's no investment, then you will find yourself single and isolated and friendless. That's how it works in your mind. If you reach the level of a ceiling, you stop growing, you stop learning, then you'll reach a ceiling in your leadership, in what you're able to create and what you're able to develop. And most importantly, what I want to talk about this morning is that's how it works in your spirit. You cannot give what you do not have. And you cannot use what you do not access. So if your level of spiritual exertion is disproportionate to your intake, you'll get tired, you'll give up, you'll start doubting, you will compromise, you'll make decisions you never thought you would make, you will think thoughts you never thought you would have. My challenge to you is this: find yourself in the secret place, the desolate place more often. Stay there longer, grow deeper, and if you do that, there'll be a shift that happens. And instead of your exertion outpacing your input will outpace your exertion. And when that happens, there's a shift. And in that shift, there's an overflow. And that overflow is the power of God to give you everything that you need to walk out the things He's called you to. And can I tell you, students, that while the byproduct of the desolate place is the power of God at work in your life, the blessing of the desolate place is the presence of God at work in your life. And this morning, he's issuing you another divine invitation to come to him so he can come, so he can bless you and heal you and love you and speak to you and give you what you need. He says this morning, draw near to me and I'll draw near to you. He says in Jeremiah, call to me and I will answer you and I will tell you great and hidden things. He says, you will find me when you seek me with all your heart. Students, we need to find ourselves in a place where we are running to the desolate place, not as a checkbox, not as another thing to add to our quiet time or a to-do list, but an answer to a holy invitation. This morning, if you're depressed and anxious in his presence, you're going to find fullness of joy. If you're stressed and worried, you're going to find he has peace that passes all understanding. If you have so much on your plate, you don't know how to get it done, he's going to come and help you carry it. If you're making a decision about your future right now and you're stressed and overwhelmed, he's going to give you wisdom. And the bottom line is, if you just want to meet with God this morning, he's going to come and he's going to sit with you and he's going to give you what you need.